Welcome back to the Colin Brandon channel. It's kind of weird calling it that, but that's what we're gonna do for the time being. If you're here from TikTok, welcome. As you know, if you're not, go check out my TikTok. That's where I'm most active. And a lot of the questions that I answer on this channel are some I get there. Feel free to drop whatever you want me to talk about in the questions, and I'll do my best to get a video for you, especially if it's a super interesting topic. And the competition for comments on the YouTube videos is a lot lower than the competition for me making videos on the comments in my TikTok. So, take advantage of that. All right, so what we're talking about today is going to be a very specific scenario brought to me by a distinguished individual on my Instagram DMs. And the question was that if BYU and Cincinnati win out, would one of those two teams be able to make the college football playoff if, over like a one-loss SEC or ACC team? And that's a great question. So we're going to dive into it, and you're going to follow me down a few rabbit holes. You might get lost. Feel free to rewind and rewatch. Sometimes I can ramble, but, just try to keep up, okay? So my gut thinking is no. Because a one-loss Clemson that wins the ACC championship is going to get in. A one-loss Notre Dame probably is going to actually be kept out if they lose to Clemson in the ACC championship, which is crazy because they beat Clemson, but the committee's going to be like Clemson was weak when they beat them. So in that scenario, you still have a one-loss ACC team that would be in. And then, so they're not getting in over a one-loss ACC team. They're not, because whoever wins the ACC, Clemson's going to have one loss when they win the ACC. And I'm saying when because I'm pretty confident that and I'm sorry, Notre Dame fans. I got bit in the butt the other week for saying Notre Dame was overrated and they beat Clemson. But I don't think that a healthy Clemson loses to Notre Dame. And if Notre Dame beats them, that's fine. Clemson's not going to get in then. And then you got an undefeated Notre Dame in, sure. But that's not the question. The question is Cincinnati, BYU, can they get in? And so now I'm thinking over an SEC team with one loss or an ACC team with one loss. So we already talked about the Notre Dame and Clemson. And if Notre Dame loses a regular season game, I think that they would have a hard time doing it. But they'd still be able to if they beat Clemson in the Big Ten, or not the Big Ten, in the ACC championship. So right now it is not looking good for Cincinnati or BYU to be able to make it without anybody losing a couple of games, especially from the ACC. And those two teams, their strength of schedule is just too spotty for a lot of people on the committee. But I honestly think that they should get the nod. It's not fair, but it is what it is. So now let's move on to the SEC. A one-loss SEC team. Now, most likely, that's going to be Florida or Texas A&M. And I have their schedules right here. And so Florida's only loss was to Texas A&M. And if Florida is one loss at the end of the season, that means that they'll probably have beaten Alabama in the SEC championship. And if that happens, and if that's Alabama's only loss, I would say both teams are in, okay? So there's two one-loss scenarios in the SEC right there where both teams would make it. And if you think I'm wrong, feel free to comment. Also, at the end of this video, if I've provided you any value, please like and subscribe. That would be very much appreciated. Now back into it. Now Texas A&M, I think, is a realistic toss-up. If Florida goes to the SEC championship and loses, and then that would be their second loss, but Texas A&M wins out the rest of the season but doesn't have to play in the SEC championship because Alabama beat them, they would end the season with one loss. And I honestly think that they would make it too. But they're scheduled the rest of the way. Tennessee just got postponed. So I don't know if they have to play that or not. If they don't, that could actually be a huge win for them. Because Tennessee is a team that I could see, finally being able to figure something out and then tripping up Texas A&M in their playoff hopes. And they got to play Ole Miss. And if they can control Ole Miss's offense, they should be able to score on them pretty easily. That should be I don't see Texas A&M losing that one. I think that LSU is just a formality. They're going to destroy the Tigers. LSU is bad. Auburn, though, that could be a tough game. Actually, no, my bad. Tennessee got rescheduled to December 12th, so they still have to play them. So Tennessee and Auburn are going to be the two toughest games. But I think that, honestly, they will win those and are going to end the season with only one loss. Now it comes in what scenario are they going to keep Texas A&M out, Like BYU's schedule, they need Boise State to look pretty good against the rest of the competition. They need San Diego State to do pretty well in the Mountain West to even have a chance at being like, okay, their schedule wasn't as bad as we thought. But I just don't think that BYU has the schedule. Dude, the eye test, they passed that with flying colors. Both sides of the ball, they look really good. And it sucks that we don't get to see them in the playoff. I've heard of some contingency plans for the playoff where they expand it to 6 teams with the top 2 teams getting byes. Just being able to open it up and make it a little more fair for teams that maybe had some of the part of their season derailed by Corona and then didn't qualify to be able to make the college football playoff. Like Wisconsin looks like they might have troubles with that. And I'm not saying Wisconsin would be one of those teams, but you let BYU and Cincinnati in there with the other 4 college teams and just have them play, the 3 and 4 seed, and winner goes and plays the 1 and 2 seed. That would be pretty cool. It would be. But long story short, I do not think BYU or Cincinnati is getting in over a 1-loss ACC or 1-loss SEC team. It sucks, but it's the way it is. This could be a good time to talk about my 16-team playoff expansion idea, but that could also be for another pod, another video. Until then, subscribe. Please like the video, and I'll see you next time. Drop what you want me to talk about in the comments. I'd be happy to, talk about some suggestions that you guys make.